Have you ever caught yourself holding back a thought because you were afraid it might make you look less intelligent? Think about that for a moment. Every day, we face situations where words carry weight far beyond their surface meaning. The things we say shape the world we live in, and more importantly, they shape the way we see ourselves. Imagine if every sentence you spoke could either lift you higher or quietly anchor you to a place of regret and missed opportunity. How many times have you whispered self-doubt to yourself, or repeated phrases that keep you small, trapped in a version of life that doesn't reflect your potential? It's a subtle trap, but it exists, and it ensnares more minds than we realize. Now picture the alternative. Imagine walking into any room, any conversation, fully aware of the power behind each word you choose. Imagine saying only what elevates, inspires, and clarifies. Imagine a voice that commands respect not because it booms, but because it carries wisdom, restraint, and vision. That's the path of the truly intelligent person. And it starts with understanding the words they refuse to speak. Because intelligence isn't just measured by knowledge or logic. It's measured by insight, by the courage to remain composed, by the skill to choose silence over empty noise. Every phrase you release into the world is a reflection of your inner world. If your inner world is cluttered with unnecessary negativity, excuses, or arrogance, that clutter will spill out. If your inner world is disciplined, thoughtful, and expansive, your words become instruments of influence, tools to craft the life you desire and the legacy you leave behind. This is why what an intelligent person never says matters more than what they do say. It's not about avoiding mistakes or hiding vulnerability. It's about cultivating a voice that mirrors strength, clarity, and purpose. Each unspoken phrase is a shield against mediocrity. Each conscious pause before speaking is an investment in respect, trust, and credibility. There is a quiet power in restraint, a magnetic energy that draws people to listen, to learn, to follow. The way you speak, or choose not to speak, signals to the world who you are and what you value. As you sit here listening, you have a choice. You can continue letting old habits dictate your words, allowing phrases born of fear, doubt, or ego to define you. Or you can step into a new way of communicating, one that amplifies your intelligence, strengthens your confidence, and builds the life you've always wanted. The truth is, mastery over your words is mastery over your mind, your relationships, and your future. Every sentence avoided, every thought refined, every word deliberately chosen compounds into exponential personal growth. And the reward? A life where you speak with authority, think with clarity, and act with courage. Stay with me, because by the end of this journey, you'll discover 6 things that intelligent people refuse to say, not out of arrogance, but out of wisdom. These are the invisible boundaries that protect your energy, amplify your influence, and shape your destiny. By understanding them, you'll unlock a level of self-awareness and power few ever reach. You'll learn not only what to say, but when silence is more valuable than speech, and how restraint can be the gateway to transformation. This isn't just about words, it's about reclaiming control over your life and stepping fully into the person you are capable of becoming. The choice is yours. Think about the last time you said something that didn't feel true to who you are. Maybe it was a phrase you uttered just to fit in, to avoid conflict, or to mask uncertainty. How did that feel afterward? A pang of regret, a hollow echo that reminded you that your words carry weight far beyond the moment they leave your lips. Every time you speak without clarity or awareness, you chip away at your own sense of power. And yet, most people never pause to recognize this. They float through conversations, dropping phrases that sap respect, dilute their authority, and quietly erode the influence they could have had. What if you could stop that? What if you could reclaim control over every word, transforming your speech into a force that opens doors, builds trust, and ignites opportunities? That is the essence of intelligent communication, the conscious choice to never speak words that diminish your potential or betray your mind. Intelligence is more than clever ideas or quick thinking. True intelligence is the courage to recognize when words serve no purpose, when phrases are driven by ego, fear, or insecurity, and to hold back when necessary. Every time you choose restraint over empty chatter, you are practicing a form of self-mastery few ever achieve. Think about how this could reshape your life. By refusing to speak impulsively, by eliminating phrases that undermine your credibility, you cultivate a presence that draws people in naturally. Your voice becomes a tool, not a weapon. It carries weight because it is measured, deliberate, and intentional. And the impact extends far beyond immediate perception. Those who listen begin to internalize your calm, your clarity, and your strength. You are no longer just participating in life, you are shaping it. Consider the subtle psychological effect of what you avoid saying. Humans are wired to respond to authenticity and consistency. When your words reflect thoughtfulness, courage, and insight, they create trust almost automatically. People lean in, they pay attention, they remember. But when words betray impatience, arrogance, or insecurity, the opposite happens. Doors close, opportunities fade, respect diminishes. Every intelligent person understands this on a deep level. They know that silence, carefully measured, often speaks louder than speech. They understand that the quality of thought behind their words matters more than the quantity of words spoken. Every utterance is a reflection of inner discipline, emotional intelligence, and self-respect. This is why the 6 things intelligent people never say matter so profoundly. They are not arbitrary rules. They are boundaries drawn in the landscape of human interaction, rules that protect your energy, sharpen your focus, and amplify your influence. They are the invisible lines between reaction and reflection, between shallow noise and meaningful impact. When you internalize these principles, your presence changes. You become someone who commands attention without demanding it. Someone who shapes conversations rather than being shaped by them, someone whose words carry weight because they are rare, precise, and true. The transformation begins with awareness. Every time you catch yourself repeating a phrase that undermines your authority, you have a choice. You can continue the cycle of automatic, thoughtless speech, or you can pause, breathe, and choose a different path. That path is not always easy because it requires self-discipline, honesty, and courage. But the reward is extraordinary. You step into a version of yourself that speaks with integrity, influences with intention, and lives with purpose. Your words become more than sounds. They become a declaration of the person you are becoming. Have you ever noticed how quickly words can define the way the world sees you, even before anyone knows your intentions? Every phrase you speak creates a ripple that extends far beyond the immediate moment. Some ripples uplift, inspire, and open doors. Others crash silently, leaving unseen cracks in your credibility, your relationships, and your confidence. Intelligent people understand the weight of these ripples. They know that words are more than communication. They are statements of identity. What you refuse to say often matters more than what you choose to voice. Every thoughtless phrase avoided is a boundary drawn, a mark of self-respect, and a signal that your mind is disciplined, deliberate, and awake. The power of restraint is rarely recognized, yet it is one of the most defining traits of those who achieve true influence. To pause before speaking is not weakness, it is courage. It is the conscious refusal to let fear, ego, or impatience dictate your voice. By mastering this pause, you shift from reaction to strategy, from noise to clarity, from ordinary presence to magnetic authority. When your words are chosen with intention, they carry energy that compels attention, inspires trust, and fosters respect. People feel the difference, even if they cannot articulate it. Your restraint becomes a signal. This is a mind that sees clearly, acts purposefully, and speaks with precision. Every intelligent person recognizes that some phrases are inherently disempowering, not because they are incorrect, but because they reveal insecurity, doubt, or limitation. Phrases like, "I can't," "it's impossible," or "that's too hard" signal defeat before the battle has even begun. Avoiding these words is not about perfection. It is about cultivating a mindset that aligns with growth, courage, and possibility. It is about creating a mental environment where your energy is focused on solutions, on opportunities, and on the power you have to influence outcomes. Words shape perception, and perception shapes reality. By choosing words that reflect strength and clarity, you are actively crafting a life that reflects your highest potential. Silence in this context becomes a tool as powerful as speech. It allows reflection, sharpens insight, and creates space for wisdom to emerge. Intelligent people understand that not every thought needs expression. Some impulses, if voiced, dilute influence rather than enhance it. Choosing silence strategically elevates your presence. It transforms interactions from transactional exchanges into meaningful connections. It signals confidence, thoughtfulness, and mastery over impulses that so often lead to regret. Every pause you take before speaking is an investment in respect, credibility, and personal power. Your words are the bridge between who you are internally and who the world perceives you to be. When that bridge is built with intention, it carries influence, trust, and opportunity effortlessly. When it is built carelessly, it weakens your authority and erodes your potential. The 6 things intelligent people never say are the foundation stones of that bridge. They are the invisible markers that guide every conversation, every decision, every connection you make. By understanding these limits, you gain control over your presence, your influence, and ultimately, your destiny. The mastery of speech is not simply about talking less. It is about speaking so powerfully, so intentionally, that every word you release resonates, inspires, and transforms. Think about the energy you carry when you speak. Every word, every tone, every hesitation communicates more than the literal meaning of your sentences. People sense authenticity, confidence, and clarity instinctively. They respond to it, trust it, and follow it. Conversely, they also detect uncertainty, weakness, and lack of awareness, even when you try to hide it. Intelligent people understand this deeply. They know that the words they avoid saying are as crucial as the words they choose to speak. Each unspoken phrase protects their energy, maintains their influence, and preserves their integrity. The conscious decision to withhold certain statements is not limitation, it is strength. It is the subtle art of wielding language as a tool of power rather than a weapon of chaos. Every moment you resist saying something that diminishes your presence, you are practicing self-mastery. You are training your mind to distinguish between reaction and response, between impulse and intention. This is the kind of intelligence that transforms lives, not just conversations. When you internalize this principle, you start noticing how many opportunities are lost to thoughtless speech. Doors that could have opened remain closed. Trust that could have been earned is withheld. Influence that could have been built dissolves quietly. Awareness of this truth is the first step toward reclaiming control over your words and, by extension, your life. Each time you pause, reflect, and choose your expression carefully, you are actively shaping your destiny. The psychological impact of your speech is immense. Humans are wired to respond to credibility and consistency. Words that reflect confidence, thoughtfulness, and emotional intelligence trigger trust and admiration. Words that betray fear, arrogance, or doubt elicit distance, hesitation, and judgment. Every intelligent person internalizes this. They know that their voice is an instrument for connection, persuasion, and transformation. The power lies not in speaking more, but in speaking deliberately. Silence and restraint amplify the force of your words. They create tension that commands attention and focus. They allow your message to land with clarity and weight. When you master this, every conversation becomes an opportunity to reinforce your identity as someone disciplined, capable, and wise. Understanding what not to say is as vital as understanding what to say. Certain statements, no matter how casual, erode influence and weaken authority. They stem from fear, insecurity, or an unexamined mind. Intelligent individuals recognize these dangers and set boundaries around their speech. Avoiding phrases that diminish your own value, signal defeat, or invite unnecessary conflict is not avoidance. It is strategy. Every withheld phrase is a conscious act of preservation. Every measured word is a declaration of control over your thoughts, emotions, and actions. This discipline is invisible to many, yet its effects are profound and far-reaching. When you take control of your words, you take control of your life. You no longer react unconsciously to external pressures or internal insecurities. You become deliberate in every conversation, every decision, and every interaction. Your words carry intention, power, and influence. They align with your vision, reflect your values, and reinforce your strength. The 6 things intelligent people never say are more than linguistic rules. They are a framework for transformation. They guide you toward a life of clarity, impact, and purpose. By honoring these boundaries, you cultivate a presence that others respect, a mind that others seek to understand, and a life that is fully yours to command. Have you ever paused to consider the silent power that comes from what you choose not to say? Every word you refrain from speaking is a statement of control. It is proof that your mind governs your impulses rather than being governed by them. Intelligent people understand that their voice is a finite resource. Every utterance consumes energy, creates perception, and defines boundaries. When used recklessly, it diminishes influence and erodes authority. When used deliberately, it becomes a tool for impact, persuasion, and transformation. The restraint to avoid certain phrases is not weakness, it is mastery. It signals that your thoughts are organized, your priorities are clear, and your presence is anchored in confidence and purpose. Every time you resist the urge to speak out of fear, ego, or impatience, you are building invisible muscles of discipline. These muscles shape your identity, fortify your resilience, and heighten your awareness. They teach you to distinguish between what must be said and what can be left unspoken. This distinction is at the heart of true intelligence. Most people spend their lives filling silence with meaningless words, unaware of the doors they are closing, the respect they are forfeiting, and the influence they are squandering. Choosing silence strategically, on the other hand, positions you as someone who commands attention without demanding it, someone whose thoughts and words carry weight because they are rare, deliberate, and meaningful. The impact of language on perception cannot be overstated. Humans instinctively evaluate trustworthiness, competence, and strength based on what is spoken and what is left unsaid. Phrases born of doubt, complaint, or arrogance send subtle signals that undermine authority and invite judgment. By refusing to speak these words, intelligent people protect their influence and project clarity. They understand that their presence is amplified not by volume but by precision. Every carefully chosen sentence becomes a declaration of intelligence, emotional awareness, and self-respect. Every withheld phrase becomes a shield, preserving energy and reinforcing authority. This mastery over speech also nurtures deeper self-awareness. When you pause before speaking, you engage in reflection. You connect with your true intentions, your values, and your goals. This creates a feedback loop where your words align with your highest self and your actions reflect your inner strength. Intelligent communication is not accidental, it is deliberate. It requires courage to resist immediate impulses, discipline to filter thoughtless expressions, and vision to craft a voice that embodies your ideals. When practiced consistently, this approach transforms not just how others perceive you, but how you perceive yourself. Avoiding certain phrases is more than etiquette. It is strategy for influence, growth, and personal power. It is a commitment to living deliberately, to speaking with purpose, and to cultivating a life of impact. Every word avoided and every word chosen consciously compounds over time, creating exponential influence and authority. The 6 things intelligent people never say are not just guidelines. They are the foundation of transformative communication. They teach restraint, clarity, and power, allowing you to navigate every interaction with intention and confidence. Mastery over your words is mastery over your life, and every choice you make in speech brings you closer to the person you are capable of becoming. Ask yourself this: how often have you spoken words that betrayed your own intelligence without even realizing it? The truth is, most people let their mouths run ahead of their minds, dropping phrases that reveal doubt, impatience, or insecurity. Every time you do this, you not only weaken your credibility, you also fragment your own sense of self. Words are mirrors of your internal state. When they are careless, they distort the reflection you project to the world. When they are intentional, they amplify your presence, your authority, and your influence. Intelligent people recognize this, and they treat their speech with the same precision and care they apply to their most important decisions. The decision to withhold certain phrases requires awareness, courage, and discipline. It is easy to react automatically, to fill silence with noise, to seek approval with empty words. It is far more challenging to pause, to think, and to ask, is this phrase aligned with my purpose? Will it build influence or diminish it? Will it serve me or betray me? That pause, however brief, is transformational. It separates those who command their lives from those who drift, reacting to the currents of emotion, habit, and external expectation. Every intelligent individual understands that mastery over words is mastery over self. Every deliberate choice not to speak a phrase that weakens your position reinforces your internal strength and shapes the way the world experiences you. There is an extraordinary psychological truth here. People do not just remember what you say. They feel it. They internalize the confidence, clarity, and authenticity your words convey, and they mirror it back in the way they respond, trust, and follow you. On the other hand, they instinctively detect hesitation, insecurity, and inconsistency, even in the smallest utterances. Intelligent people use this to their advantage. They speak with precision and pause with intent, creating an aura of authority that does not rely on volume or aggression. Every carefully chosen word builds influence, while every avoided phrase shields them from undermining themselves. This is not manipulation. It is the natural result of aligning thought, emotion, and expression with conscious intention. Refusing to speak phrases that weaken your presence is also a declaration of self-respect. It signals to yourself and to others that your energy is valuable, that your mind is disciplined, and that your attention is intentional. Every avoided word is a boundary drawn around your power, an act of preservation, and a reinforcement of who you are and who you aim to become. It allows you to operate from a position of strength rather than reaction. It elevates every conversation from casual exchange to purposeful communication, where your words carry meaning and your silence carries weight. Mastery over speech is mastery over opportunity. Every intelligent person recognizes that careless phrases cost more than moments. They cost influence, trust, and growth. By understanding the 6 things they never say, they create a mental and emotional framework that protects their energy and amplifies their power. They cultivate presence, credibility, and authority in every interaction. Each word becomes a tool of clarity and transformation, each pause a declaration of strength. When you adopt this mindset, your voice ceases to be a source of limitation and becomes a force of creation. Every choice you make in speech shapes the life you are building, the respect you command, and the legacy you leave. Consider the subtle weight of every word you utter. Words are not mere sounds, they are declarations of your mindset, your values, and your level of awareness. Each phrase you choose to speak or refrain from speaking shapes the way the world perceives you, and more importantly, how you perceive yourself. Intelligent individuals recognize that some statements are more than unnecessary. They are dangerous. They reveal doubt, invite judgment, or erode the influence they have painstakingly built. By consciously avoiding these phrases, they preserve their integrity, protect their energy, and amplify their presence. This discipline is not about perfection. It is about intentionality. It is about wielding language as a force of creation rather than destruction. When you learn to filter your speech, you align yourself with clarity and purpose. Every withheld phrase is a statement of self-mastery. It signals that your mind is not reactive but deliberate, that your emotions are not dictating your actions, and that your attention is focused on what truly matters. This practice transforms ordinary interactions into opportunities for influence and growth. People are drawn to those who speak with precision and restraint because it communicates strength, intelligence, and reliability. Silence, when chosen wisely, becomes as powerful as words themselves. It allows your message to resonate, gives space for reflection, and commands attention without force. The psychological impact of restraint cannot be overstated. Humans are wired to detect authenticity, consistency, and confidence. Words that betray hesitation or insecurity diminish trust and respect, while words chosen with care enhance credibility and create connection. Every intelligent person understands this instinctively. They know that influence is built in moments, often invisible, and that careless speech can undo years of effort. By refusing to speak phrases that compromise their position, they safeguard their authority and cultivate an aura of reliability and foresight. This is not about being silent for the sake of silence. It is about speaking in a way that amplifies power, builds trust, and fosters meaningful relationships. Withholding certain statements is also an act of emotional intelligence. It requires awareness of your own triggers, patience to resist immediate impulses, and foresight to anticipate consequences. Each time you pause before speaking, you create an opportunity to respond rather than react. You evaluate whether your words align with your values, goals, and the reality you are trying to create. This conscious practice reinforces self-discipline, builds resilience, and strengthens your internal compass. Intelligent communication is never accidental. It is the outcome of intentional thought, emotional awareness, and unwavering focus on your desired impact. Understanding what not to say is a cornerstone of personal and professional transformation. Every phrase you avoid that stems from fear, insecurity, or ego preserves your energy, reinforces your credibility, and projects strength. The 6 things intelligent people never say are not arbitrary rules. They are a blueprint for influence, clarity, and self-respect. By internalizing this principle, you transform your voice into a tool of empowerment. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to assert your presence, align with your purpose, and shape the way the world experiences you. Mastery over speech is mastery over life, and every deliberate choice in language is a step toward becoming the person you are capable of being. Have you ever realized how much power lies in choosing your words with absolute care? Every sentence you speak is a reflection of your inner state, a signal to the world of your confidence, clarity, and understanding. Intelligent people know this instinctively. They do not waste their energy on phrases that diminish their credibility or expose insecurity. They understand that careless speech can fracture influence, while thoughtful speech can open doors, build trust, and command respect. Every word avoided is a conscious act of strength, a silent declaration that you are in control of your mind, your emotions, and your life. The ability to refrain from saying certain things is a profound form of self-mastery. It requires discipline to resist the urge to react impulsively, courage to hold your ground, and insight to recognize the consequences of your words. Every time you pause before speaking, you create a space for reflection, intention, and choice. This pause allows you to weigh the impact of your words, to align your expression with your goals, and to protect your influence. It transforms ordinary interactions into strategic opportunities where your presence is felt and your authority is acknowledged. Intelligent people do not merely participate in conversations, they shape them. What you say and what you choose not to say shapes perception, trust, and opportunity. Words are far more than communication. They are instruments of influence. Phrases born from fear, impatience, or ego send signals of weakness. They invite doubt, diminish authority, and erode the respect others hold for you. By avoiding these expressions, you maintain clarity and assert control over your narrative. Silence becomes a powerful tool. It communicates confidence, reinforces credibility, and allows your carefully chosen words to resonate more deeply. Every intelligent person understands that influence is rarely loud. It is subtle, deliberate, and earned through restraint. The practice of choosing words wisely also strengthens emotional intelligence. It trains you to recognize triggers, manage impulses, and respond with purpose rather than habit. Each time you withhold a phrase that could compromise your position, you reinforce your inner strength and expand your capacity for self-control. Intelligent communication emerges not from what is said in haste, but from deliberate reflection, alignment with core values, and foresight about outcomes. This alignment between thought, feeling, and expression builds authority that cannot be manufactured. It is authentic, undeniable, and magnetic. Refusing to say certain things is not just about managing perception, it is about cultivating personal power. Every avoided phrase preserves energy, protects your integrity, and strengthens the impression of competence and wisdom. The 6 things intelligent people never say are not rules for etiquette, they are principles of transformation. They guide you to speak with intention, to act with clarity, and to project a presence that commands respect. By mastering this discipline, you turn language into a tool for shaping your reality, creating influence, and becoming the best version of yourself. Each conscious choice in speech brings you closer to the person you are capable of being, and every moment of restraint reinforces the power that lies within you. Have you ever stopped to consider the hidden cost of words spoken without thought? Every careless phrase you release carries weight. Weight that can chip away at your credibility, undermine your confidence, and diminish the perception of your intelligence. Intelligent individuals recognize this immediately. They know that true power is not in filling silence with noise, but in letting every word serve a purpose. The words you choose to withhold are as meaningful as the words you choose to speak. Each moment of restraint reinforces your strength, your focus, and your ability to influence the world around you. Choosing silence over the wrong words is a declaration that your mind is disciplined, your emotions are in check, and your goals are clear. Mastering what not to say is not just a skill, it is a reflection of inner strength. It takes courage to resist the impulse to react in conversation, to avoid falling into patterns of defensiveness, and to recognize when words could betray your intentions. Each time you pause, evaluate, and choose wisely, you strengthen your mental and emotional resilience. You cultivate the ability to respond with precision, clarity, and purpose. Intelligent people do not speak to fill space. They speak to create impact. Every phrase they avoid that could weaken their position becomes a building block for influence, respect, and authority. This restraint is a tool of transformation, a force that silently shapes your presence and defines how others experience you. Words shape reality far more than most people realize. Phrases rooted in fear, insecurity, or impulsivity carry consequences that ripple through relationships, opportunities, and perception. Intelligent individuals understand this deeply. They know that influence is earned, not assumed, and that one careless comment can undo months of trust, credibility, and progress. By consciously avoiding certain statements, they preserve their reputation, protect their energy, and reinforce the perception of strength. Silence is not emptiness. It is intentional space that allows their words to carry maximum weight and impact. In this way, restraint becomes a source of power, commanding attention and respect without aggression or force. This practice also cultivates emotional intelligence at a profound level. Every choice to withhold a phrase trains your mind to observe impulses, anticipate reactions, and respond with strategy rather than habit. It allows you to align your speech with your values, intentions, and the person you aspire to become. Intelligent communication is deliberate, measured, and intentional. It is a reflection of a mind that understands the dynamics of influence, the importance of perception, and the subtle art of commanding respect without dominating the conversation. Each moment of restraint is a demonstration of self-mastery, an act that signals strength to yourself and everyone around you. Avoiding phrases that weaken your position is an act of self-preservation and empowerment. Every withheld word protects your energy, your integrity, and the credibility you have cultivated. The 6 things intelligent people never say are not arbitrary rules. They are principles that guide behavior, elevate influence, and create lasting impact. By integrating this practice into your life, you transform your voice into a tool of precision, your conversations into instruments of power, and your presence into an unshakable force of respect. Each conscious choice in speech reinforces who you are becoming and shapes the reality you are creating, step by deliberate step. Have you ever realized how your words can either build bridges or burn them down? Every time you speak without thought, you leave an imprint on the people around you, on the opportunities you encounter, and on the way you see yourself. Intelligent people understand that language is far more than a tool for communication. It is the reflection of your discipline, your mindset, and your ability to influence reality. Each phrase avoided that stems from doubt, fear, or ego is a choice to elevate yourself. Every moment of restraint is a declaration that you control your mind, your emotions, and your life's trajectory. When you speak with intention, your words carry authority, power, and resonance that cannot be ignored. The mastery of speech begins with awareness. You must become conscious of the triggers that lead to careless words. It is not easy, impulses are swift, and emotions can be overwhelming. But every time you catch yourself before speaking, you strengthen a muscle that defines intelligent leadership, the muscle of self-control. When you learn to pause, to measure the impact of your words, you are no longer a victim of reaction. You are a creator of influence. Intelligent individuals understand this instinctively. They know that restraint is not weakness. It is a strategic advantage that shapes perception, enhances credibility, and commands respect in ways that impulsive words never can. Every word you hold back is an investment in your presence. Words born from frustration, insecurity, or the need to prove yourself do more than communicate. They reveal vulnerabilities that others can exploit. Intelligent people never speak in ways that undermine their position because they understand that perception is as real as reality. By avoiding certain phrases, they maintain authority, project confidence, and protect their energy from unnecessary conflict. Silence, when wielded with intent, is not emptiness. It is the ultimate demonstration of self-mastery. It allows your carefully chosen words to land with impact, giving weight to every statement and creating space for reflection, influence, and respect. Emotional intelligence and conscious communication are inseparable. Each time you resist the urge to say something reactive, you cultivate insight, patience, and foresight. You learn to read situations, understand people, and respond with strategy rather than instinct. This alignment between thought, feeling, and expression creates a magnetic presence. People instinctively trust and follow those who speak with clarity, authority, and consistency. Intelligent communication is deliberate, not accidental. It signals to the world that you are in command of yourself and that your mind operates on a higher plane of awareness. The 6 things intelligent people never say are not just lessons in etiquette, they are lessons in power. They teach you to communicate in ways that preserve energy, protect integrity, and amplify influence. They show that mastery over language is mastery over life. By internalizing this principle, you transform your words into instruments of creation, your conversations into platforms of impact, and your presence into a force that others cannot ignore. Every moment of restraint is a deliberate act of transformation, reinforcing the reality that who you are becoming is shaped not just by what you do, but by what you choose to say and what you choose to hold back. Have you ever considered how much power lies in the questions you choose not to ask? Every inquiry, every challenge, every doubt you voice shapes the way others perceive you and the way you perceive yourself. Intelligent people know that some questions are better left unspoken, not because curiosity is weakness, but because restraint demonstrates confidence, awareness, and strategic thinking. The most impactful individuals understand that their energy is finite, their focus is precious, and their influence is amplified when they speak with intention. By withholding questions that stem from insecurity, impatience, or the need for validation, they protect their clarity and sharpen their mental edge. Choosing silence over needless interrogation is not avoidance. It is mastery. It is a conscious decision to direct your attention, conserve your energy, and preserve the power of your presence. Every unspoken question reinforces a deeper sense of self-assurance. When you resist the urge to ask what everyone else seems to be asking, you signal to the world and to yourself that you trust your judgment. You convey that you are comfortable navigating uncertainty, that you are capable of thinking independently, and that your perspective holds value. Intelligent individuals recognize that not all curiosity needs to be verbalized, and that insight often comes from observation rather than inquiry. They understand the subtle psychology of influence. People who control the flow of questions command the flow of thought, attention, and conversation. By choosing carefully what to ask, they shape the dynamics of every interaction and assert an invisible authority that cannot be ignored. The ability to discern which questions matter is a hallmark of strategic thinking. Impulsive questioning often stems from fear, doubt, or the need to impress. It dilutes focus exposes vulnerabilities, and diminishes the impact of your voice. Intelligent people do not ask to prove knowledge or to gain approval. They ask to clarify, to learn, and to advance meaningful goals. Every unspoken question becomes a testament to their discipline, foresight, and inner confidence. It signals that they are attuned to what is essential and that they prioritize long-term outcomes over short-term gratification. In this way, restraint and questioning is not passive. It is proactive, intentional, and deeply empowering. Mastering the art of what not to ask also cultivates patience and emotional intelligence. Every moment you hold back a question allows space for observation, reflection, and understanding. You learn to read situations with nuance, anticipate the consequences of your words, and respond in ways that maximize impact. Intelligent communication is rarely reactive. It is deliberate, strategic, and informed by a higher awareness of context and consequence. The questions you choose to leave unasked shape the quality of your relationships, the depth of your insights, and the strength of your influence. Understanding the 6 things intelligent people never say or never ask transforms the way you engage with the world. It teaches that restraint is not limitation, but liberation. Every held back question, every measured word, every deliberate silence strengthens your presence, sharpens your mind, and amplifies your impact. By mastering this subtle art, you gain control over your interactions, preserve your energy, and cultivate a magnetic authority that draws respect, trust, and opportunity. What you do not say can be far more powerful than what you do, and every choice in silence moves you closer to the person you are meant to become. Have you ever noticed how easily people fall into the trap of excuses? How a single "I can't" or "it's impossible" can sap momentum, kill creativity, and quietly convince your mind that limitation is reality? Intelligent people never speak in absolutes that cage their potential. They understand that words shape beliefs, and beliefs shape destiny. Every time you say something is impossible, you anchor yourself to fear, doubt, and comfort. But when you learn to speak from possibility, action, and accountability, you release a power that transforms obstacles into opportunities. Your words become the engine of progress, not the chains of stagnation. Excuses are the subtle thief of self-respect. They masquerade as reasons but act as barriers, quietly eroding confidence and muting ambition. Intelligent individuals recognize this immediately. They understand that life will challenge them and it will test every fiber of their will. But they also know that how they respond is entirely within their control. By refusing to utter excuses, they assert ownership over every choice, every outcome, and every action. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They don't blame circumstances, and they don't cower in the shadow of "I can't." They speak with the conviction of possibility. And in doing so, they invite solutions where others see only walls. The words we choose reflect the internal narrative we nurture. Saying "I can't" often begins as a small slip, but it grows into a habit of surrender. Intelligent people understand the psychology behind this. Every time you articulate limitation, your brain begins to internalize it. Words are not mere symbols. They are triggers for action or inaction. By carefully selecting language that empowers rather than diminishes, you rewrite your internal programming. You rewire your brain to recognize opportunities, to confront challenges with courage, and to persist when most would quit. This is why intelligent people guard their speech with precision. They know that the future is sculpted not by idle talk, but by deliberate words that ignite action. Accountability is at the heart of this discipline. Every refusal to make excuses strengthens character, sharpens resilience, and fuels momentum. It sends a silent message to yourself and the world. You are responsible for your life, and you will not surrender your power to circumstance. Intelligent people understand that the moment you accept responsibility, you reclaim control. They embrace challenges instead of avoiding them, solutions instead of complaints, and action instead of resignation. Their words, free from excuses, become declarations of power, and their lives begin to reflect the confidence and capability embedded in their speech. When you learn to eliminate excuses from your vocabulary, you unlock a profound shift in perception. Obstacles shrink, fears fade, and clarity expands. The 6 things intelligent people never say are not arbitrary rules. They are strategic tools for transformation. They teach that restraint, choice, and precision in speech lead directly to mastery over life. Every avoided excuse, every word measured, every statement rooted in possibility amplifies your presence, deepens your impact, and propels you toward the person you are meant to be. Choosing not to excuse yourself is choosing freedom, power, and a life defined by action rather than limitation. Have you ever realized how often people let pride disguise insecurity? How the fear of being wrong can prevent growth, learning, and authentic connection? Intelligent people never say things designed to inflate their ego at the expense of truth. They understand that arrogance is a camouflage for weakness, and that true strength comes from humility, openness, and the courage to admit when they don't know. Every time you insist on being right, you close doors to insight, you stunt your growth, and you limit the potential of every conversation. But when you embrace curiosity over certainty, learning over ego, you awaken a force within yourself that elevates every aspect of life. The desire to appear knowledgeable is natural, but it is also dangerous. Words spoken to protect pride can isolate, alienate, and diminish your influence. Intelligent individuals recognize that wisdom is not proven by dominance or debate, but by the capacity to listen, to reflect, and to adapt. They measure the impact of their words against the value of understanding, not the temporary satisfaction of being perceived as superior. Choosing truth over ego strengthens trust, deepens relationships, and cultivates respect in ways that mere cleverness cannot achieve. Acknowledging uncertainty is not weakness, it is mastery. Every time you allow yourself to say, "I don't know," you unlock a gateway to learning, growth, and collaboration. Intelligent people leverage this honesty as a tool, not a liability. They understand that admitting limits in knowledge creates space for exploration, invites diverse perspectives, and fosters innovation. Silence in the face of uncertainty can be deafening, but intelligently expressed humility commands attention. It signals awareness, self-control, and emotional maturity. In a world that often values bravado over substance, choosing humility over ego becomes a radical act of power. The psychological impact of avoiding ego-driven statements is profound. When you stop feeling the need to prove yourself constantly, your mind is freed from distraction, your energy is preserved for meaningful action, and your focus sharpens. Every word becomes deliberate, intentional, and aligned with growth rather than performance. Intelligent people know that the need to be right is the enemy of insight. They see every conversation as a chance to learn, not a stage to perform, and they understand that the opinions of others are not threats, but mirrors that reflect possibilities they may not yet have considered. Resisting ego-based speech also cultivates resilience. Every avoided comment that asserts superiority over another builds patience, emotional intelligence, and self-mastery. You begin to measure success not by how others perceive you, but by how effectively you engage with reality, with facts, and with ideas that challenge you. Intelligent individuals see every interaction as a training ground for wisdom, and they use restraint as a tool to refine their understanding and amplify their impact. When you refuse to let pride dictate your words, you step into a higher level of personal power. You gain clarity, influence, and the ability to inspire rather than intimidate. The 6 things intelligent people never say are, at their core, lessons in self-mastery. By choosing humility over ego, curiosity over certainty, and truth over perception, you cultivate a life of profound influence, deep insight, and authentic strength. Every carefully measured word becomes a declaration of intelligence, every restraint an affirmation of inner power, and every moment of silence a step closer to the extraordinary person you are capable of becoming. Have you ever noticed how often people trap themselves in the illusion of certainty? How the desire to have all the answers can paralyze growth and blind them to possibility? Intelligent people never claim to know everything. They understand that life is an evolving puzzle, that every answer opens new questions, and that true wisdom comes from embracing uncertainty with courage and curiosity. Every time you insist on absolute knowledge, you close doors to discovery, limit your vision, and stunt your evolution. But when you allow yourself to explore, to question, and to admit that you don't have all the answers, you ignite a curiosity that fuels innovation, resilience, and profound personal growth. The fear of appearing ignorant is one of the most subtle chains that bind the mind. Words spoken to project certainty often mask insecurity, and they prevent connection, insight, and learning. Intelligent individuals recognize that wisdom is measured not by the breadth of what they know, but by the depth of their understanding and the willingness to learn from every situation. They choose engagement over pretense, insight over assertion, and reflection over reaction. Every careful word becomes an instrument for growth, every pause a chance to consider, and every admission of uncertainty a demonstration of strength. Admitting what you don't know is not weakness, it is mastery in motion. Each time you allow yourself to say, "I'm not sure," you open your mind to possibility, invite collaboration, and cultivate resilience. Intelligent people use uncertainty as a tool, not a limitation. They know that questioning and exploring are the pathways to innovation, and that the courage to face unknown territory builds mental agility. In a world that often celebrates rigid answers, embracing the unknown is a radical act of confidence, a declaration that you are willing to grow beyond what is comfortable or familiar. The psychological effect of speaking without the need for absolute certainty is transformative. When you release the compulsion to appear infallible, your mind becomes sharper, your focus deeper, and your energy more productive. Every word is chosen with intention, aligned with insight and possibility rather than ego or fear. Intelligent people understand that the belief they must always know the answer is a prison. They see every challenge, every question, and every interaction as a chance to expand understanding, not a threat to status. This mindset frees them from the paralysis of perfection and propels them toward real achievement. Avoiding claims of absolute knowledge also strengthens resilience. Every careful restraint, every admission of what is unknown, cultivates patience, emotional intelligence, and self-mastery. You learn to navigate complexity without panic, to embrace challenge without fear, and to act decisively without the illusion of complete certainty. Intelligent individuals recognize that life's most valuable lessons come from exploration, adaptation, and the willingness to acknowledge gaps in understanding. This humility does not diminish power, it amplifies it. When you stop pretending to know everything, you unlock a new dimension of intelligence and influence. You gain clarity, expand your perspective, and cultivate a mindset that thrives on learning rather than stagnating in pretense. The 6 things intelligent people never say are not just rules, they are gateways to mastery. By embracing uncertainty, questioning assumptions, and valuing inquiry over appearance, you step into a life defined by growth, insight, and authentic power. Every deliberate word, every honest admission, and every moment of reflective silence draws you closer to becoming the extraordinary version of yourself that is capable of navigating the unknown with confidence and grace. Have you ever caught yourself measuring your worth by how much others approve of you? How often do we seek validation from the world, thinking that their opinion defines our value? Intelligent people never say, "I need others to like me." They understand that external approval is fleeting, unpredictable, and ultimately irrelevant to their journey. True strength comes from self-respect, self-awareness, and the courage to stand firm in your convictions, even when the crowd does not cheer. Every time you hinge your confidence on someone else's judgment, you surrender your power. But when you anchor your worth internally, your life becomes a canvas for your vision, not a reflection of someone else's expectations. The obsession with approval is a subtle but destructive force. It drains energy, narrows focus, and dims authenticity. When you chase likes, compliments, or validation, you are living in reaction, not in creation. Intelligent individuals recognize that their influence, impact, and fulfillment come from alignment with their values, not from the applause of others. They choose self-mastery over popularity, clarity over comparison, and integrity over convenience. Every thought and action is intentional, guided by purpose, rather than by the desire to be seen as acceptable or likable. Psychologically, the need for approval triggers fear, anxiety, and self-doubt. Every decision becomes a negotiation with an imagined jury, and every success is tinged with the worry that it may not be enough. Intelligent people know that approval seeking is a trap that limits growth and fosters insecurity. They understand that self-trust is the ultimate form of empowerment. By relinquishing the need for constant validation, they free themselves to take bold action, embrace risk, and pursue goals that truly matter. This internal compass provides clarity when the external world is chaotic, and it allows them to act with confidence, even in the face of criticism or indifference. The power of self-reliance cannot be overstated. When you no longer measure yourself by other standards, you create space for authenticity, creativity, and genuine connection. People are drawn to those who operate from self-assuredness, not desperation. Intelligent individuals realize that the pursuit of approval is a distraction from mastery. They focus on excellence, growth, and contribution, trusting that recognition will follow naturally, but never depending on it for validation. Every step taken in alignment with purpose builds momentum, resilience, and fulfillment that cannot be shaken by external opinion. Choosing to release the need for approval also cultivates emotional freedom. You become immune to manipulation, resistant to peer pressure, and capable of acting decisively even when misunderstood. Intelligent people recognize that their value is intrinsic, rooted in character, effort, and integrity, rather than in applause or recognition. This mindset transforms fear into courage, doubt into clarity, and hesitation into action. Each deliberate choice, each boundary maintained, and each act of self-respect reinforces a life built on authenticity and strength. When you stop seeking approval, you reclaim your voice, your vision, and your power. You step into a life guided by intention, not by reaction. The 6 things intelligent people never say are not limitations. They are invitations to liberation. By freeing yourself from the tyranny of others' opinions, you cultivate an inner authority that drives meaningful action, nurtures profound growth, and allows you to pursue your purpose with unwavering confidence. Every decision made from this place of self-trust brings you closer to a life defined by courage, clarity, and unshakable inner strength. Do you ever find yourself saying, "I can't do this"? Every time those words escape your lips, they quietly shape your reality. They build invisible walls, convincing your mind that limitation is the truth. Intelligent people never say, "I can't." They understand that every challenge carries an opportunity, and every obstacle hides a lesson. The moment you claim "I can't," you surrender potential, creativity, and courage. What if the only thing standing between you and success is the belief that it is impossible? What if the voice you hear is not a fact, but a fear disguised as certainty? The power of language shapes thought, and thought shapes action. Saying "I can't" programs your brain to search for excuses instead of solutions. It signals to your mind that obstacles are insurmountable and that failure is inevitable. Intelligent individuals reject this trap.